You're listening to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we've got Josh.
Hey.
Obviously, SmackDown after WrestleMania, things are gonna heat up, and we got a few debuts, we got a few surprises. We love to talk about the Bloodline, so why don't we talk about them first? Solo Sikoa, and a debuting friend helping to take out Jimmy Uso.
Yeah, as I kept saying, when Cody was saying this is the final inning, it wasn't the final inning of the Bloodline story, it was just of his part of the story. We're getting a transformation, and the beginning, I believe, of the setup for face Roman. It's been said for at least a year now that Solo's the tribal chief in waiting. I think he's starting to make his play. He brought in Tama Tonga, the son of Haku.
Yeah, definitely a scary name to bring in. I think those two together are going to be quite a destructive force. For me, this whole segment was interesting. Obviously, we're removing Jimmy Uso out of, I guess, the immediate group. I'm sure eventually down the line we may see him reunite and rejoin across the ways. His prospects don't look amazing, while his brother's prospects is the number one contendership. So right now he's in the gutter a little bit, but Paul Heyman's interactions in the segment as well, seeming like Roman Reigns has nothing to do with this segment. And then Solo Sikoa coming out afterwards saying that it was by order of the tribal chief. And then it's like, okay, is Roman cutting off Paul? Is Roman not the tribal chief that he's referring to? Is he referring to himself? Is he referring to The Rock? Is he referring to some other higher power? So many different angles they can end up going with regards to this, and really, I just want to see Solo Sikoa unleashed.
Yeah, and I think you gotta remember, during the promo and stuff, he basically threatened Paul Heyman. That's why I said he's basically taking charge while Roman's gone. And The Rock is dealing with Cody / time away. He's basically the de facto leader of the Bloodline. It's just like one of those things where it's like we get another direction, we get some more life in the Bloodline story, and eventually we're going to have War Games Bloodline Civil War Edition. I think that's where we're going. I think Survivor Series, it will be Roman Reigns and the Usos versus The Rock, Solo Sikoa, and Tama Tonga, plus whoever you want to throw in as additional Bloodline members. But it's going to be something that'll be slowly brought through. I think Rock Cody happens at SummerSlam. I think that's where that match happens. Maybe Roman returns, realizes he doesn't have the power that he once had, and he starts beginning the process of making amends because he gets kicked out of his own group.
Yeah, it's hard to see, I guess, exactly what's cooking, right? Something's cooking. And not borrowing a phrase from The Rock, but it'll be interesting to see how it all unravels and how it all unfolds. I'm interested in seeing Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso reunite. It's been a really long time, even if it is just that one-off, or whether it's, as faces going forward with Roman Reigns. I think the big thing, if they are going to go that way, that they really have to hammer home is that Reigns can't view everybody as beneath him. I think that's probably his biggest part of his face turn. He is going to have to acknowledge, what a good use of the word, acknowledge Jey Uso as an equal and acknowledge Jimmy Uso as an equal and sort of go into it as a group rather than Roman and his gang.
Yeah.
I really want to see that sort of character growth from him.
Yeah. I think this time it will work because I think they finally got a sense of how to use him, in a sense, and the fans legitimately like Roman now. So I think it's just the next. It's going to be the next evolution. It's going to be how does he grow into a different version of his face self. And you spot on. He is going to have to make amends with the entire roster because in his 4 years as champion, he basically just ran roughshod over everybody, and it is going to take some time. And it's definitely going to take time for the Usos to trust him.
For sure. Especially Jay. Jimmy's
Yeah.
been in and out all over the place, but Jay really, like storyline-wise, Jay quit the company because he didn't want to put up with Roman and the Bloodline stuff. Ultimately, he just switched brands, but, he was, quote-unquote, ready to walk away from it all.
Yeah, and we probably won't see Jimmy for a couple months because of the damage he took from Solo and Tama. Which, by the way, Solo and Tama would make an insane tag team.
Who knows? Maybe they do capture the SmackDown tag titles or whatever they're going to get renamed this week, presumably. Yeah, they are. They are a force to be reckoned with. Before we move off, I will just say, Tama Tonga does have some other brothers in the wings, depending how long contracts are in Japan. If we do need to beef out teams, there's people sitting on the bench. You were right, segue. Raw Tag Team Championships are no more. We get some pretty new belts, sticking with the circle motif. And we have ourselves some World Tag Team Champions.
They're not silver dimes anymore! Yeah, I like the titles. I like the new tag titles. I think they look good.
Yeah, I like that they continue the motif of all the world titles. They all hold that sort of big gold pattern in the background. I think people really have to get over the fact that they don't want a big WWE logo in the middle of their titles. It is the biggest marketing thing in the world. And if anything, you're going to see more and more of it, not less of it. Suck it up. And in the tag titles, it's not even that big. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think they look like pretty good designs. And yeah, our biggest gripe was always it was just they're silver. They went from copper pennies to dimes. Now they're actual gold.
Yeah, and I think it really does. I don't know if it'll happen this week on SmackDown. I don't know if it's been announced. I haven't looked ahead. But it very clearly signals that the SmackDown Tag Team Championships won't be long for this world either.
Yeah, I expect them to come out on SmackDown and give our new SmackDown Tag Team Champions A-Town Down under their new tag titles. And we'll get to see their designs. And they'll be the WWE Tag Team Champions.
And presumably their belts will look similar to the WWE Championship and the WWE Women's Championship. And I guess complete the trifecta of belts. Ignoring the mid-card ones, because those have always been some wild cards.
Yep. You've definitely gotten what you've wanted in the last 3 weeks. Split the titles, new tag title belts.
And they look uniform. That's all I want. I want them to look good in a spreadsheet. But
also, Truth adds yet another person to the list of people that he has broken over the years from his character.
I was going to say, talking just about the designs, we miss one of the best parts of that, which was the segment as a whole, and R-Truth's participation in it. Yeah, pretty funny segment overall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Him going crazy over a magic trick. Then you had him call Triple H Tommaso Ciampa, and that's what just made Triple H go, "Am I done? Can I go? It's all yours now, Adam."
Yeah, it was and then of course having Tommaso Ciampa come out the very next entrance with Johnny Gargano still cosplaying or pretending to be DX uh, didn't help R-Truth's confusion for sure.
Um, yeah, and they will be the first opponents for our newly crowned WWE World Tag Team Champions. They may also be the last opponents for our newly crowned World Tag Team Champions.
I was gonna ask because obviously coming out of WrestleMania, we've thought Awesome Truth might just be a bit of a transition. Look at A-Town Down Under, depending on their division, they might even just be a transition. I know they are if Solo and Tama go after them. So I guess are either of the new champs holding on to their belts anytime soon, or are we going to see gold around DIY's waist?
It's very possible. I said I don't think they'll keep him for long. I think this was a WrestleMania moment to give them to give Truth a well-earned WrestleMania moment, and then I guess at Backlash you could put the titles on DIY and be fine with it. Um, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I think A-Town Down Under, I think will hold their titles for a little while. Largely because they're heels, and I think the only team that could really bring them down would be Solo and Tama at this point in their run.
Hmm.
And I don't see that happening because they're both heel factions.
I
But
don't know if
of
things as
course,
simple as
another thing
alignments will
that
get in the way of Solo and Tama. If
yeah,
they want those
another
titles.
thing that we have to also consider is the draft.
True.
The draft will scramble things as well.
We'll get new opportunities for both teams. The teams might swap. Infinite amount of things that'll happen coming up in that draft. Well, we are roughly halfway through the episode, and that means it's time to go into our entrance theme of the week. This week, it is our Intercontinental Champions theme, Sami Zayn. And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. We're talking about dominant tag teams. And yes, I'm going to leave the Sami Zayn segue on the table. We were talking about dominant tag teams, and I did just want to mention Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill entering that women's tag team division. His Damage Control's days numbered.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, these two women are going to dethrone Damage Control. They're going to take the titles, and there's not a thing anyone can do to stop them.
It really does feel like instead of putting the unmovable object and the irresistible force together against each other, you just put them together, and you just had them team up. And in that case, nothing's gonna get in their way, except for probably themselves some months down the line. And I'm sure that'll head on to their one-on-one feud.
Yeah, and this is also an opportunity to get her more experience. That is the biggest thing Jade Cargill needs, experience. And the more she works with Bianca, who is by far one of the best in the company, I think will further elevate her. It'll get her more experience, more reps, more time in the ring, and she has somebody she can look up to see how it's done in Bianca. I think this is the best thing. And then once they lose the titles, you don't have to worry about an undefeated streak because they will technically have been beaten.
Yeah.
Even if it's Bianca that takes the fall.
Yeah, it's like you get to have fun and enjoy their tag team run And you also get to have the anticipation that their one-on-one match at the end of it will also be pretty good. So it's all-round bonuses for those two. Alright, I'm going to pick up the Sami Zayn segue off the table. We were for Raw in Montreal this week. Pretty cool long entrance transition from Jey Uso into Sami Zayn. Pretty great reception. Pretty great title match. Not so great post-match for Sami.
Yeah. Alright, that entrance. That was some of the best cinematography WWE has done in years. Having Sami come out, say, I'm walking in like a fan like I did 25 years ago. And going through the entrance, going out to the stairs, going down to the ring, everything and the sound from the fan. Even and people have said what you heard on TV was nothing compared to what you heard in the arena. But yeah, and Sami is the one guy that is so popular and so over that it didn't really matter that he was the guy that beat Gunther.
Mm.
It was just that he was already on Gunther's level. Because just remember, a year ago in the same building, he came within a hair of winning the Undisputed Championship. So that put him already on that level. And I think he's going to do good things. I think the biggest thing, though, Chad Gable's heel turn.
100%.
I think this also breaks up Alpha Academy.
Yeah, I don't know if Otis and Tozawa have been reached for comment just yet.
No.
But yeah, it definitely seems as though Chad has embraced his dark side. I think people pointed out how Chad Gable couldn't get it done, couldn't beat Gunther in front of his family, and then Sami Zayn gets to beat Gunther and celebrate with his family with the Intercontinental Championship, and it just sort of snapped. And yeah.
I do think maybe he'll get some. I think we might get a Team Angle 2.0 here, and Gable accelerates back to where he should be, at least what most people think he should be, at that level with Sami, and he gets the Creed brothers to be his heavies, to basically perform the role that Haas and Benjamin performed for Kurt Angle when he was at his hottest.
Yeah, I
think we could see that.
Chad with Otis and Tozawa, it's great, it's amazing, it's awesome entertainment, but it is a comedy bit, right? Chad with the Creed brothers, now that's a serious threat.
Yep. And I think it's one of the things that could get him the heat on him, because if you keep Otis with him, not even just counting Tozawa, but you keep Otis with, that will water down this heel turn. Because Otis is somebody fans do not want to hate. They've tried. It's not going to work. So what I think I see is next week, maybe Otis, Maxine, and Tozawa trying to talk some sense into him, only to be beaten within an inch of their lives by Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. And that's how you get heat on him, because he beat down Otis and Tozawa and make Maxine cry.
Yeah, I do feel like that is the go for sure. It'll definitely make everyone hate him really fast. And then that's yet another competitor in that Raw tag team division, depending on the draft, where I could see the Creed brothers picking up the World Tag Team Championships. Alignments work. If DIY can't get the job done, I could definitely see the Creeds sliding in for next month's title opportunity.
Yeah.
That was all the quick topics I had written down. Rhea Ripley. Her title, unfortunately, needs to be vacated.
Yeah, unfortunately, she got hurt in her WrestleMania match, apparently.
Yeah, she had a wrist injury coming into it. There was the WrestleMania match. There was the beatdown on Raw. Lots of inconsistencies around it all, but I guess the outcome is the only thing that we know 100% for certain, which is the title has been vacated, um, leaving us. I believe it's been announced next week on Raw they'll be crowning a new champion. Um, for a champion that we thought was going to be unstoppable for a short while. You know, we were asking what is next for Rhea Ripley. Well, it turns out we didn't need to answer that question.
Although it was definitely going to be Liv Morgan.
100%.
So the question is does Liv Morgan do something she's done before and take a title because of an injury? Although that one was a tag time title.
Yeah.
I do think that it will take some steam off of her winning the title because I think it would have meant more to beat Rhea.
Mm-hmm.
The question is that if she is in that match, who is the opponent? Because that I think that right there will tell us all about who's actually winning the title.
Yeah. It's. I don't quite know how it will all shake out, but I think to me, the big thing is like the Judgment Day were already starting to get splintery, right? And now we've got Dominic Mysterio being unable to get it done when it comes to dealing with Andrade, who just picked up Ricochet as an ally now. We've got the Judgment Day um, beating down Jay, where Damian Priest looks unhappy with that. I feel like Rhea's injury may put the pedal to the metal on a Judgment Day explosion, um, in terms of at least Damian Priest face turning out of it. Dominic Mysterio, has no mommy, is still one of the most hated guys on the roster, um, but there are different ways to go with that for sure.
Yeah, and this is also setting up Rhea to return as a face because I don't know how long she'll be gone. But she'll be gone long enough that people will forget about her and she'll come back as a good person, and then we'll have to see where they go with her character and stuff from there. But I do think she comes back as a face and gets cheered.
Yeah, I think for me, what's important with Liv Morgan is she was always very straight about what she wanted. And it wasn't necessarily, I want the title, it's, I want to take everything from you. And whether she actually caused the injury or not, it works really well into that storyline, right? Liv Morgan comes back, injures Rhea Ripley. She has to vacate her title. Seems like an amazing springboard. Now, where do we go from here? And personally, I wouldn't hate Liv Morgan going after Dominic Mysterio and trying to pick up a side piece and pull away something else from Rhea Ripley while she's gone. And maybe Liv Morgan is the trigger or the hairpin that pulls the Judgment Day fully apart.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yep. I'm going to give you another segue.
Oh, another segue?
Fella!
Yeah, the last thing. We only got a couple minutes left. Sheamus is back. Takes out Ivar. Yeah, always good to see Sheamus. Always a favorite. Look forward to seeing what he does. Obviously right now it's just a bit of a reintroduction. His years are numbered. I think we've known that for a while. Based on his injuries, we didn't know if he'd be back a couple of times. But he keeps coming back. He keeps putting new wrinkles in the character. He's back with the old entrance theme this time. Always love some too many limes. Yeah. Let's see what Sheamus ends up doing.
Yeah, they definitely made a point about the Intercontinental Championship, and that being the one thing he's not done in WWE. So I think he does come after that, and it's also another thing to point out that he can actually go after it now that Gunther's not the champion anymore.
That's true. The second
Um,
Gunther loses the title, Sheamus is back.
Yeah. It should be. It was a good match too between Ivar and Sheamus, and it was good to see the old Sheamus back too. If this is his last run, I hope he knocks it out of the park and accomplishes anything that they want to set out for him. Because Sheamus deserves as much respect as The Miz does, and
Yeah.
I think they're both going to be Hall of Famers. I think they'll both be either they main the main liner or the to meet for their classes.
Yeah. For sure. And I just hope he wins the Intercontinental Championship. That's all I want. But for this week, we have run out of time. It's been great talking to you.
Bye, B.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling R&D Upper, our Twitter page, twitter.com/wrestling R&D Up, or our YouTube page, youtube.com/wrestling RND Up. And we will catch you next week.